This time putting everything up. I'm going to keep doing it. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. Thank you. Yeah. This is the thing to the mic. It goes on the mic. Hit here. It goes here. Jazakallah khair. Shukran. This is a continuation in our class of Tafsir kathir. Imam al-Hafiz al-Allama Abi Faddan Imam ibn Kathir Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. The last class we mentioned from the introduction of the Imam himself. And we mentioned before the different publications, they added certain things that are not part of the way that the Shaykh actually, Imam Kathir, wrote his tafsir. For example, we said the introduction, the Kitab al-Fadal, after the Muqaddimah, introduction, where the Imam talks about why he's writing the book and opens the tafsir itself with different benefits and statements. Then it has Kitab al-Fadal, where he talks about the virtues of the Quran as it relates to certain ayat, certain surah, certain general and particular things about Quran. So one of the points here that Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Qudair, who's from the Hayat al-Kibar al-Ulama in Riyadh, he said that when teaching this book, the Ta'liq, his comments on this book, he said the old manuscripts, the oldest that you find at Tafsir ibn Kathir, Fadal al-Quran was at the end. The Shaykh would bring the tafsir of the Quran from Al-Fatiha to Nas. Then in the end, he will talk about his virtues. But when certain publications, certain organizations, certain maktabat or muassasat started to make publications down the line, then they decided it was more befitting to put the fada'il first, the virtues of the Quran first. And so the Shaykh makes this distinction because he wants people to understand every tab'a or nashr, every publication or printing is not the same. And what the Shaykh originally did, the Imam Allama al-Hafiz ibn Kathir, has to be noted that this is the way that he wrote it. This is the original way, because there's something in the religion called Imanatul Ilmiya. Amanatul Ilmiya. There's a certain responsibility with a person's knowledge. For example, in some of the tabaqat, some of the nashr, some of the prints and the taba'at, the publications, you'll find them praising the Shaykh when they talk about the introduction. You mentioned these different awsaf, different descriptions of the Shaykh, and they mentioned al-awha, al-bari, al-alim, al-ulama, Safer Sunnah, like this, and they go on and on and on. Some in the beginning they call them al-muttaqin, but then later on some people change it to al-muttaqin. Yani, so al-muttaqin and muttaqin and muttaqi. Muttaqin and muttaqi, two different words, and they have two different meanings. But people want to يبالغوا في يعني القول عنه في الثناء عليه زاد يعني إلى هذه الدرجات. They want to like exaggerate, like to when you say show extreme respect and love, but they went too far. So that point, the Sheikh, he mentioned Abdul Karim al-Khudair, that this is not from the Sheikh, because somebody would read Qala and then all of this praise and then start to read his actual word and they think he's saying this about himself. It's not befitting for a person of ilm. يعني يثنى على نفسه هكذا يعني to. For example, say, before I start my class, my Tafsir, I wrote a book, and I'm going to say in the beginning, قال Shaykh al-Allama al-Muhaddith al-Am al-Kabir al-Shams al-Qamr al-Naqi Shams al-Din Saif al-Din Bahr al-Muhir. SubhanAllah. Even you find like the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تطرني لا تطرني يعني كال يطرون النصارى عيسى بن مريم إنني أنا عبد الله ورسوله. Said, don't praise me and eulogize me and raise me up like the Christians did Isa. Verily, I'm only the servant and messenger of Allah. لا تطروني كما تطرون النصارى عيسى بن مريم, because they rose him to not only he's the son of God, well, they said no, he is God who came in the form of a man. So they have all of these different aqa'id because they went too far with Isa. And this one reason we don't have any portraits. The Prophet prohibited that we make a surah portrait in general, which is a big issue. Salam said, "Inna ashad al-nas adabin yawm al-qiyamati al-musawwirun." Those who will have the most severe punishment on the day of judgment, those who make the images. And here he's talking about the al-arwah, the al-arwah, those that have souls. So if you make a picture of a man, you paint a picture of a lady, you take a picture of a king, a queen. Some people say, oh, well, that was when they were doing it by hand, painting. But the Prophet said, al-musawwirun. Okay, the way that they used to do it back then, it doesn't take away from the way that we have pictures today. Some would say, okay, but this is not really making a picture because you're capturing images with satellite and it has pixels and this and that technology. Okay. And some ulama, they said that. So taswir video يجوز because it's not حقيقة الصور كما في الحديث. That the video and the digital camera today is not what's meant in the hadith. But the safe way is included in the hadith. Because the Prophet said, Inna ashad al-nas adaban yawm al-qiyamati al-musawwirun. So what if we wrong? What if those modern day scholars today that take that position, they're wrong? And Shaykh al-Muqbil, he said, no, all of taswir is in this category. He said, because people who argue that's with a paintbrush, he said, but you take your finger to click a button, right? The modern day picture, you click it to take a button, you click it with your finger to take it a button, right? The same way the man had a paintbrush back then. He's got a point. So the point is that would you agree with that those images the Prophet is talking about is inclusive in images today in modern times, or it's only those people who painted it and said, look at my masterpiece, look at what I created. Okay, maybe you take a picture, you don't say that. Maybe you take a picture and it's for memories. Maybe you take a picture to show what's happening. Those people in the hadith, the Prophet said, they said, look at my masterpiece. And we know painters, they do that. Look at my masterpiece. They brag. Because he actually did that with his hand. He actually sculpted, created, fashioned with the ink and this. That's more than a machine. That's more than, you actually could say, listen, I made this with my bare hands. But Allah also said, يَضَاحِهُونَ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ. They're creating something to compete with how Allah creates. And you could see it. So what's the point? When we talk about that issue, that our messenger said, don't raise him up, don't go extreme with him as a prophet, like the Christians did Isa, innani ana abdullahi wa rasulih. I'm verily indeed only the servant and the messenger of Allah. This is included why we're going to have a portrait of the prophet. Because had we had a portrait, and people already make shirk with Allah, with the prophet. If you say, Wallahi wa nabi, wa qasam, you're swearing by Allah on the prophet, shirk. إذا تأتي إلى قبره قال يا نبي الله اشفيني واشفي زوجتي. Oh Nabi Allah, heal me, I'm sick, heal my wife. That's shirk. Nah, hakada. So when you talk about the same thing, غلو في الصالحين, going extreme with the righteous back then, this is some of what Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Khudair is saying about this long praise in some of the publications of Tafsir and kathir. The Shaykh didn't do that. That's the people who came and wanted to publish and print, and this edition, they're going to say more about him. And subhanAllah, this, Wallah Musta'an, is a very important point, because Allah said, وَلَا تَزَكُوا أَنفُسِكُمْ. Don't sanctify yourselves. Don't make yourselves, Allah Musta'an, with all of this praise. وَأَعْلَمُ مَنِ اتَّقَى. Allah, He knows who has the taqwa. Maybe you do some actions, but inside you have nifaq. Maybe you do some actions just for show, but inside you don't really believe, like the munafiqs in the time of the Prophet. Maybe you do some actions, and you're using those actions to take the wealth of the people, but the batil and the falsehood, while you deceive them by teaching them that which is astray. Allah musta'an. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his help. Lastly, with regards to the tafsir of Imam ibn Kathir, as he goes into in his introduction why he wrote the tafsir, and he quotes the ayah, such as the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawm Ad-Din. He also quotes, Alhamdulillah, alladhi anzala ala abdihi kitaban wa lam yaj'al lahu 'iwaja. Alhamdulillah, alladhi خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل ظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا لربهم يعدلون. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى له حمد في الأولى والآخرة. All of these ayah, the Shaykh, says, Shaykh Abdul Karim al-Khudair, is really from his introduction about the Fada'il al-Fatiha. All of those ayat with the praise of Allah and why he's praising himself and why we should praise Allah, they took that from the introduction of al-Fatiha, the Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, and moved it to put it in the introduction. So you can see how people, they take and they put, and if you read, you'll think this is the Sheikh's introduction. No, that's somebody putting the introduction together, and they're saying al-Muqaddimah, al-Mu'allif, the introduction of the one who wrote the book, but that's not true. It's not true. So this, it shows you again the issue of Imanatul Almiyah, being truthful and saying what is from that person, not adding, not leaving off, not taking credit as if this is your speech or somebody else's speech and it's the speech of the Shaykh. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us right. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us our good deeds and forgive us for our shortcomings and make us die the death of the righteous. Hada so sabaka nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam tasliman kathira. And just as a note, that Isha is coming in at like 10:15 here, so That's why we let the class go a little longer. We pray about 10 after. Inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Cold out, huh? Kind of, huh? That means you have a coat on and not chip chips and a t-shirt, right? MashaAllah. To each his own, huh? MashaAllah.
The first finish in here?
Huh? Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, but just because it's still online. If you take it off and give it to me,
Okay.
I'll stop it. Jazakumullah khair.